Welcome back to the Outfit Repeaters podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shelby.
And we are your hosts. We are back after an unplanned, unintended, longer than we hoped hiatus. You may notice that both Shelby and I are in new locations. So,
yes.
Shelby, what's going on with you?
We bought our first home.
Yeah.
So, packing everything up from our apartment and having end of the year school stuff, and it's just packing and now unpacking, which just takes a lot of time. So, we have been grinding it out. We have like the few boxes that are left are the ones that are like the random stuff that I just threw in boxes that I didn't know what to do with. Now I have to figure out something to do with them. So I'm like, do I really need this box or should I just throw the whole thing away?
That's kind of how moving goes. It's like, if I can live X number of like days or weeks without it and not even miss it, like, it's trash, right?
I agree. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. What's going on with you?
Well, I am now in what we call our bonus room. So, Ryan's office was previously in the room that we are using as the nursery. So last weekend, actually, we spent the entire weekend moving everything that needed to come out of this room into our new shed in the backyard, painting, and then getting everything rearranged. If you care about that kind of stuff, I have a whole little like transformation video on my TikTok. But
yes,
yes, this is now like the office, multi-purpose room, etc. So we can actually build the crib and start organizing things in the nursery, because right now it's just boxes stacked in the corners.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yes. So random note today, I started having like lower back pain, and I have full on convinced myself that I now have a kidney stone. So I will keep you updated. I probably don't, but
we're here for the drama either way. Either way.
It's for the plot.
Well, since we last met, what have you been reading? What have you been watching?
Okay, I think and the whole world are watching the season 2 of Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders.
Correct.
On Netflix. Love it. I think we've talked about this, because you watched the CMT show, right? Back in the day. Girl, I've been watching Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders since I was in the 7th grade, because they had Making the Team on CMT. I was so disappointed when it was canceled. So now that Netflix has a show about it, I just love seeing it all go. And if you have Paramount Plus, every season from season 1, which I think was 2006, is on Paramount Plus.
Oh.
So, what am I reading? So I've been doing a lot of audiobooks while I've been packing. So I listened to a book called The Stepdaughter. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I wasn't like blown away by it. It was by Georgina Cross. Meh. It was the definition of meh.
Meh. Okay.
So I don't really recommend it. And I did read, I know last time we talked on here, How to Hang a Witch.
Yes.
5 stars. So good. I'm doing the sequel now. It's called Haunting the Deep. And it's by Adriana Mather. And I did a little deep dive on the author. And, so she is a descendant of Cotton Mather, who was the like preacher that was leading the Salem witch trials. And her character in the first book, How to Hang a Witch, is also his descendant. And then she discovered she also had family that survived the Titanic. So now the second book is about her main character like seeing ghosts from the Titanic.
Oh wow!
So she has amazing lore.
Yeah.
Titanic and Salem witch trials, like that's pretty amazing. So, and I'm still over 2 months now, still working on A Court of Mist and Fury, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I'm on chapter 40, I believe.
Okay, so a ways to go.
So, a ways to go, yes. But I did get on SparkNotes last night and read what I've read up to, because I was just like, wait, am I like remembering all this correctly? Because I left off when they were in the summer court, just like bebopping around, and I was like, why are they here again? And I had to go like Spark notes it a little bit. Oh
Archie.
my goodness, Archie. Okay, what about you?
Um, Gosh, I feel like I need to like pull up my reading app thing to see what I've even read. Okay, so since we left off, I know I was like reading Master of Me. I'm not sure if I had finished that. That's the Kiki Palmer book.
Yeah, I think you hadn't finished it yet.
Okay, didn't love it. Like I know I had said this in one of our previous episodes. It's just very industry heavy, and if you are not in the industry, not interested in the industry, it's probably not the book for you. And when I say that, like, it's not like peek behind the curtain. It's like tips about like the hustle culture within the industry and like building your own personal brand and how that extends beyond just like acting jobs, acting and hosting and products and collabs and like all of this stuff. I don't know. I just didn't love it. And then I read.
It's a very niche topic.
Yes, I read The Tenant by Frida.
Frida.
That was good. It's not God tier Frida, but it was definitely good. And then I read Pretty Baby by Mary Kubica, who's the same author that wrote Local Woman Missing. That's probably the book that most people are familiar with by her. Good, not great. And then I read Hidden Pictures by, I'm going to butcher this, Jason Rekulak? Maybe Rekulak.
Oh my gosh. A man?
A man, yes. And that was actually pretty good. It was kind of creepy. If you are not, I'm kind of like weird about books that have like a paranormal element. Like it tends to not be for me because that's just, it's just a little bit too close to reality for me. I think when there's a kind of like
No, I
paranormal
agree.
element. But this was done in a way that was not like so far out of my comfort zone that I was uncomfortable. So that was good. And then I finally finished Kingdom of Ash. So I'm done with the last series.
Yes. I know we have very different opinions about it, but that's okay. That's what makes reading fun.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I acknowledge that. It is very overwhelming.
It may not. And then I started an Ellen Hilderbrand last night. I just needed something fun and light and summery. So I'm doing the 5-Star Weekend, which, have you read 5-Star Weekend?
No, but I've heard a lot about it.
Okay. I am obsessed with the idea of doing a 5-Star Weekend. Now, I'm only 50 pages in, so like I don't know how all of this unfolds. And this is spoiler free because this happens at the very, very beginning of the book. The main character very unexpectedly loses her husband, and she is like grappling with grief for like 7 months and just like can't seem to like shake it. And she ends up in the middle of the night reading this, I guess, kind of like blog from another woman who also very suddenly lost her husband, and she planned what she called the 5-Star Weekend, where she invited 4 friends from 4 periods of her life. So like her best friend from her teen years, her best friend from her 20s, her best friend from like midlife, and then her best friend from present day. And they all went on a 3-day weekend. They actually went to Destin. And just like did fun things, like had fun outings, and like so like it just brought her back to life to be with these people who had known her the very best at different stages of her life. So the main character reads about this and decides she's going to do the same thing. And I'm like, I'm obsessed with this idea. Like I would love to like call my childhood best friend, and then like you would be like my like college best friend, and like
I love that.
So I'm excited. Yes. It's good. 50 pages in. I'm into it. I'm sat. Also watching DCC season 2, and I did binge all of Mormon Wives. I think, I don't think we were podcasting at the time that Mormon Wives came out.
I haven't watched season 1 of that, but I feel like it's something I would watch.
You would eat it up. Please watch it. Please watch it, because I could just talk about this exhaustively with anybody and everybody.
Okay. It's on Hulu, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to go through that. The next month is I'm gonna rot for the next month because we were at the beach the last 2 weekends as well, And I start band camp July 14th. So, it'll be here before we know it. But I love it. Some people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I love it. So, but
You
yeah,
wouldn't do it if you didn't.
I didn't. Um, shall we get into the episode?
Let's get into the episode.
This was clandestine timing because I learned some tea on this episode. And I'll get
Really?
to it when we get there. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
There's a book that's out called like Disney High.
yes.
It's something from that book that when we get there, I'll tell you what I learned.
I feel like I bought that audiobook at some point, but I might be thinking of something else.
Yes, there was some tea going on behind the scenes, according to the Disney High book. So,
It's not that book that I have. I have one that's like in a similar vein called Freaks, Gleeks, and Dawson's Creek: How 17 Shows Transformed Television.
oh my gosh. And there was a Dawson's Creek reference in this episode.
There was. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, we need the air dates. Season 1, episode 14. Random Acts of Miranda air dates. I'm going to say sometime in the summer of 2001. We'll just say that because I don't have time to Google it. Okay.
I don't have time for this. Okay.
So if y'all want to know, you can Google it. Okay, so we start off with Lizzie and Gordo, and he's rambling on about cannibalism. In Trinidad in the 1850s, there were a lot of pirates, and they would drag their prisoners this is Gordo talking, under their ship across the razor-sharp coral reefs. And animated Lizzie is so over him talking. And then he's like, they also invented barbecued food, in which I was like, was the meat from the cannibalism, and that they barbecued people?
Literally didn't even think about that, but yo.
I know. And then he goes, are you hungry? I'm hungry. And I'm like, I'm actually not hungry after hearing that, but okay. So Lizzie's trying to finish her article for this week's school newspaper. Gordo says something along the lines that there's going to be a school movie night, and he's going on and on about how Thomas Edison did not invent the motion pictures, and he's just being out here so annoying to Lizzie. And she's like, can you stop?
And here we get animated Lizzie just like in the background. She's not saying anything, but animated Lizzie is so sick of Gordo that she puts in earplugs and then headphones over that, and then some kind of like scuba helmet over the top of all of it to block out the noise.
I love that for her. Yes, Lizzie is writing about how there's going to be a school movie night, and they're showing The Mummy. And then Gordo just has to chime in, and he's like, what, The Mummy? And she's like, what do you need to tell me about The Mummy? He was just like, that I liked it. And she goes, that's not all. And he was like saying that how they used to mummify people's bodies by pulling their organs out through their nose. Ick.
Yep.
Okay, so here we see Mr. Lang, who we got a shout out in the Aaron Carter episode because Lizzie lost her media pass, and allegedly Mr. Lang charges $5 to get a new one. But according to this man's personality, I don't think he gave one singular F about that media personality, because Mr. Lang wants to be anywhere but that school.
Correct.
Lizzie's telling him, and he's doing his crossword puzzle.
And when Lizzie hands him her story, she hands it to him on a floppy disk.
I didn't see that. Oh, that's crazy. No, the days before Google Drive. Okay, so Lizzie is telling him all about the school play and that Mr. Escobar, love him. He's one of my favorite characters. And is a drama teacher. He wrote it. And Miranda's auditioning, but she's probably just going to get a small part. And Lizzie's saying that she can cover all the way from the auditions to opening night. And then Mr. Lang has been not paying a single bit of attention to what she's saying. And he just yells out, Bermuda! And Lizzie goes, I beg your pardon? Which I would never know a teenager that would say that.
No.
And Mr. Lang says, a 7-letter word for a putting surface. Is that a thing?
Bermuda grass.
Bermuda grass on the putting surface? Okay.
Yeah.
Lizzie's confused. And Animated Lizzie says, I think Mr. Lang is way over journalism. He seems like he'd rather be somewhere else. And the next montage of pictures cracked me up, let me tell
Yes.
you. The one of him in the car with all of the models took
Yes.
me out. Oh
my
my
favorite
gosh.
was the one of him on the moon with the models. And I noted that the models look kind of like they would be on Deal or No Deal.
They do. Oh my gosh. Okay, so she goes, well, I'll do the story on the play, then I'll have it for you opening night, and there will be reviews on the production. And she's like stammering, and she's like, it'll just be about the play. And Lang is not paying 1 ounce of attention to her. And then she's like, Gordo, a little help here, trying to explain what she was doing to Mr. Lang. And he goes on and on about how the Egyptians mummified their pharaohs. And Lizzie was just like, okay. So here we see Lizzie and Gordo talking in the cafeteria. And then Gordo says, Lizzie, when you become a famous reporter, I can come along and take all the pictures. Photographers get to wear stuff with a lot of pockets. I like that.
And I said, is Gordo convinced that Lizzie's going to become famous no matter what she does? Because he also said the same thing when she was doing rhythmic gymnastics.
Doesn't she become famous, though, in the Lizzie McGuire movie?
True. And we get a modeling episode later.
I always believed in her.
Yep.
And then when I said he has stuff with a lot of pockets, I said, as a woman, I cannot relate. Okay, so Lizzie says, I don't think you'll be my photographer, Gordo. I don't plan on doing any lingerie fashion shows or swimsuit competitions, which I'm shocked Disney said lingerie.
Yeah.
So, shocked. And then Gordo's like, oh, forget it. And then Miranda storms in, literally runs Tudgman over, and says, oh my gosh, Tudgman, I'm so sorry. Tudgman gets a lot of flack in this episode.
He does. And something I noticed on this was, you know how in the episode where they were paired off for the project, the marriage project, and he had the giant plate of Brussels sprouts? Well, today, when Miranda plows into him, it's a giant plate of broccoli, and broccoli florets fly all over the cafeteria.
Oh, he's healthy.
I'm like, what is it with Tudge and green vegetables?
Maybe he's vegan.
Maybe.
And Miranda says, guys, I didn't even try, but I got it. And Lizzie and Gordo are confused. They're like, what did you get? And Miranda says, the lead in the school play. I'm going to be the star of the school play. And they congratulate her. And Miranda said she thought she was just going to get chorus or painting the scenery. What the heck are those two doing in a tree? Is what I thought. But no, I got the biggest parts. And Lizzie said she didn't know that Miranda was such a good actress. And then Miranda goes into a little sequence about how Mr. Escobar wrote the play himself. And it's set back in the 1950s, which is like a million years ago. And none of the regular drama kids wanted to do it. They all wanted to be out doing something where they were supermodels or NBA stars or crime-fighting, rapping robots. Says, now that's a great idea, talking about what the drama kids wanted to do instead of Mr. Escobar's play. Lizzie says, but you're still the star. You got the biggest part. And none of us have ever been in a play before. And Corda said, I have. I was in the 3rd grade grammar pageant. I played the question mark. And then Lizzie says, Gordo, that's not going to help you get dates. And then Gordo says, if you guys ever need help looking confused, inquisitive, or questioning, I'm your guy. What's what we need you for, Gordo? Did we get a little montage of young Gordo where he's the question mark?
Yes, it's basically like a giant cardboard cutout of a question mark and with just like Gordo's face. And there's this like kind of like nursery rhyme-esque song happening in the background. It's like ding 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 ding.
We hear that a few times when they do flashbacks of the kids when they were little. All right, now we get the B plot. We're at the McGuire home, and we have Matt's plot with Sam and Joe and Lanny. And then Sam says, hey, Matt. Hey, Lanny. What are you doing? What have you been up to? And Joe, with the line of the episode for me, says, why do you bother? You know he's not going to say anything.
And I do have to point out like a little like piece of Lizzie McGuire, lore, maybe we should call it. Sam and Joe look to be like putting together dinner, and Sam has his tie thrown over his shoulder, and this is like so quintessential Sam. And this is the
So
first time
cute.
since we've been watching that I've noticed that him do this. So I'm like, I just love this. I just love that we're going to get to see more of Sam throwing his tie over his shoulder.
So wholesome. Okay, Sam says, I'm going to get something out of him. Watch. So, Lanny, want to stick around for dinner? We're going to have Gamby McGuire spare ribs. And then Matt says, he can't. He has church choir practice tonight. Besides, ribs give Lanny nightmares. The Walrus Stream writes.
And then we get the classic Lanny, woo!
Where he just, like, shakes in fear.
Yes.
And then Matt so casually turns to Joe and says, hey, can I have $3,000 for a jet ski? And Joe's like, no. And then he says, can I have $1,000 for an electronic keyboard? Sam says no. Matt says, okay, I guess I'll just settle for $90 walkie-talkies. And then Joe is not falling for it. And she says, we're not giving you $90. And then Matt says, see, Lanny, I told you that they wouldn't fall for the start high, go low thing.
Honestly, though, respect. I respect this attempted tactic.
I respect the effort. And Sam says, what do you need walkie-talkies for anyway? And Matt says, so me and Laney can talk to each other and when we're on our way to school. And Sam says that they're not just going to give Matt money, that he needs to earn it. And Matt says, I know you're not just here to give me money. You also have to cook for me, wash my clothes, and do all this other stuff too. And Joe says, what your father is trying to say is we work hard for our money, so if you want something expensive, you need to earn it. Sam says, that's right, sport. You want walkie-talkies? We're just going to get out there and earn the money yourself.
And here, I think, is like, we know what happens later, and here, I think, is kind of like the pitfall, is like, they needed to provide him suggestions of things he could do to earn the money. Like, you can't just give Matt McGuire free agency
to come up with
how to come up with $90, because whatever it is, isn't going to be good.
It'll be diabolical. Okay, he says to Lanny, they go over to the couch, and he said, earn it yourself? Where do they come up with this stuff? I mean, it's just so weird. Okay, nickel, and he's looking through the couch, and he finds a nickel, 2 pennies, peppermint candy, and a bunch of nuts. I don't know what this is, but I think it's the turtle I lost 3 years ago in the couch.
And 2 things I have to point out here. Number 1 is anytime Matt finds something that he doesn't want, he just throws it over his shoulder, like, not my problem. And then when he pulls the turtle out, Lanny puts the turtle in his pocket.
I didn't see that.
What are you doing with that dead turtle? What are you going to do with that?
Oh, man, Lanny. It's a crime Lanny wasn't in the Lizzie McGuire movie.
It really was.
And then we have a 2000s reference here. He says, let's go start checking payphones for change. All right, and then we're back.
If you don't know what a payphone is, you're not old enough to listen to this.
We had payphones in my high school, like in 2013.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they worked, but they were there. So, all right, we see the kids at school, and we see the fabulous Mr. Escobar. I love him. I'm so glad that he was in the Lizzie McGuire movie. He says, places, everyone. Lizzie says, after rehearsal, I'm going to ask Mr. Escobar a few questions about how the play got started and how we got ideas for the show. And Gorda says, ask him what's up with that blue scarf he always wears. Don't ask him questions. Just let him do him. And then we see the guest star of the episode.
Whose real name, like, name within the episode, we don't even get until, like, the last 5 minutes.
That too, but
unless you're watching with subtitles, and then you know.
That's true. It's Orlando Brown from That's So Raven. Eddie Thomas himself from That's So Raven. And, oh my gosh, this was before That's So Raven. And he's saying his lines, and he is the main male character in the play. And he says, listen, Rhonda, I've got to get out of this town. My old man, he just doesn't understand. And then Miranda's rehearsing, and she goes, oh, Reb, be strong for both of us. Rhonda walks to the table. And then Mr. Escobar is like, hold on. He says, Miranda, that was great. We're on our way to the stars. But Rhonda walks to the table, worried, isn't dialogue. You actually do it. It's, oh, Reb, be strong for the both of us. And you walk to the table, worried. You don't have to say it.
Exactly.
She goes, okay. I just want to thank you again for letting me be in this play. Acting is the greatest thing I've ever done. And Animated Lizzie says, wow, Miranda's officially in love with acting. Maybe in 30 years, maybe when she's 30, she can play a teenager on Dawson's Creek or One Tree Hill.
Yeah. Really any teen show, because they were all
Gossip Girl.
well into their 20s, if not 30s, playing 16-year-olds.
Exactly. Mr. Escobar says, you're very welcome, Miranda. Now let's move on to the drag race scene, shall we? Larry, care to join us? And then here we get one of the running jokes of the episode. It's somebody giggling and saying, Tudgman. Miranda says, oh, Stingo, why does Red do such dangerous things? You're his best friend, and you can't get through to him. Why, oh, why will he let me in? Got my inner Scarlett O'Hara here, people. And Gordo says, this is so lame. Lizzie is hopeful and says, it's just rehearsal. I'm sure the movie with the hockey playing chimp wasn't brilliant the first time they ran through it, so it'll get better. And Animated Lizzie is not so optimistic. She goes, yeah, right.
Yeah. And
then Miranda says, and in character, can't you talk some sense into him, Tudgman? He goes, I'm Stingo, remember? That's his character in the play. And she goes, oh, can't you talk some sense into him, Stingo?
And when she reruns the line, she just yells it even louder.
She yelled everything she said on this stage. I'm going to hate editing this later when I hear me reenacting this. And then, Lizzie says, well, I sure hope it gets better. So now we see Matt again, and he has discovered the throwback of garage sales.
Heck yeah.
And he says, I can't believe the garage sale your parents had. I guess he's talking to Lanny here?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're in his bedroom.
That's right. He's like, people are paying money for old junk. That woman with that weird purple thing on her neck paid $5 for a cookie jar shaped like an elf. And then Matt gets a brilliant idea from Lanny telepathically and says, I'm thinking what you're thinking. Sell my stuff. I've got a room full of junk I could get rid of. Then we can have money for the walkie-talkies. So.
And here they are. Matt comes into the room with like a tray with 2 glasses of orange Kool-Aid and a little bowl of sugar. And so when this conversation begins, Matt puts like a few spoonfuls of sugar in each glass and hands one to Lanny. And then Lanny takes a sip of his and does the classic, woo! And Matt says, oh, sorry, Lanny. And of course you're thinking that it's too sweet. No, it's not sweet enough. So he dumps the remainder of the sugar and doesn't mix it. And then you can see when he takes a sip, the bottom of the glass is just coated in sugar that's unmixed.
I must have like looked away at that point because I did not clock that.
Yeah,
but that sounds like them.
It was disgusting. I'm so sorry. It just was. It makes my stomach hurt thinking about drinking that much sugar.
Honestly, yes. All right, we're back at school, and they are about to go on for the school play, and Lizzie goes up to Miranda. She goes, oh, hey, Lizzie, I don't have much time. Mr. Escobar makes us meditate before we go on. And Miranda's in her costume with like her little 50s outfit on with all the cherries. I thought it was so cute.
Perfection.
So cute. And her hair was like flipped out at the bottom. She had little cherries in her hair, like barrette in her hair. It was so cute. And Lizzie says, that outfit is excellent. And she goes, thanks, I'm going to be a star. And Lizzie says, I'm going to write about it. And then she gives Miranda Cindy Lou Moo, which is her good luck charm. And she says Miranda gave it to her before a soccer playoff games, and she scored a goal in the game. And now she's hoping it brings Miranda good luck. And then Mr. Escobar says, gather round, kids. And they start meditating before they go on.
Yeah. Full on meditating.
You know what, Mr. Escobar? You do you. And then Gordo says, "Is Miranda nervous?" And Lizzie says, "No, I've never seen her so confident." And Joe and Sam, parents of the year, showing up for this, and it's not even their kids.
I literally said, I love that the whole McGuire family is here. You've got Gordo, Lizzie, Joe, Sam, Matt, and Lanny.
I cracked up when Matt's over there, like, playing video games, and Lanny's just, like, conked out.
And then, like, a few minutes later, when you get another shot, it's Lanny playing the video game and Matt asleep on Lanny's shoulder.
Oh my gosh. I just love them so much. Besides the, like, core three, I think they're my favorite friendship of the whole series. Melina can GTFO.
Oh, okay. We do not have a Melina stan in the house.
I don't. She took away Lanny time. All right, so they're like, all right, here we go. And then we see the opening scene on stage, and Tudgeman says, "Hey, Reb, heard you got expelled from school." And then we see a random kid point in the audience and goes, "It's Tudgeman." And then Orlando Brown has a few lines here and says, "Mr. Birch hasn't liked me since my family moved out west and started here at Southeast Northfield High."
I clocked that, like, when I watched this the second time. Moved out west, and then it's Southeast Northfield High. That's a mouthful.
Northumberland High by Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
And then, so they're just talking about how he moved, and Miranda is supposed to run out when she hears Orlando Brown say, "Oh, Stingo, you and your wisecracks." Miranda comes barreling out like a bull in a china shop. And it's bad, guys. She doesn't know her lines. She says, "Reb, Reb," as she runs into the table, and she goes, "Ow, ouch. You've been expelled by my father. He will never let you see me again. I will be restricted. Restricted. I'll be restricted." And I'm like, oh gosh.
Yikes.
And then we see just like montage of her badly delivering her lines.
Running into things, knocking things off of tables. We even get her at one point forgetting her line and reading it off of her arm.
Yes, is that when she was like, "I'll never be,
yeah.
I'll never be," and she looks and goes,
"Valedictorian." And she reads it like she's never heard the word in her life.
So Gordo at the end goes, "Well, I didn't get any better." And Lizzie says, "It's official. Miranda stinks." And at the McGuire home, we see Matt and Lanny. He says, "Be careful with that box, Lanny. I got a Celine Dion snow globe in there. That's got to be at least worth $5 to some yokel."
I mean, honestly, it'd be worth $5 to me. So okay.
Dion snow globe.
Also, why do you have that, Matt?
He had to steal it from Lizzie's room. Matt says, "No, lady, I told you. First we're selling the books, then the toys, then the clothes, and then we can sell the wagon." Which I think the wagon they're going to get the most money for.
Probably.
He says, "Okay, are you ready, Lanny?" And then they run into Gordo, and they go, and he asks where Lizzie is, and he says, "She's inside. Hey, we're selling some of my old stuff. Want to buy anything?" And Gordo's like, "No, I don't think so." And we see Lizzie sitting on the couch trying to write her article about Miranda's subpar performance. And she goes, animated Lizzie says, okay, I can do this. I've got words in my head. Come on, words. Get out of my head. Ooh, Scranton.
And she's like shaking her head, and it makes it look like Scranton like falls out of her ear.
Yes. She goes, "What good does that do me?" And then Gordo's like, "What you doing?" And she goes, "The play review." And Gordo did, in fact, buy a wheelo from Matt, whatever that is. And Lizzie says, "But it doesn't have a wheel." So he got scammed by the scammer. So he says, "Yeah, I know, that Lanny. He could sell ice to a polar bear." So Gordo could also speak to Lanny telepathically. He says, "So how's the review coming?" And Lizzie is very conflicted with how she should respond to this. She goes, "It's great, just great." And Gordo looks down and sees that she really just said, Scranton. He goes, I probably would have gone with Pittsburgh, but you know me, I overstate things. And Lizzie says she's just been doodling. She can't bring herself to say something about Miranda. And then Gordo says that she stinks like a cab driver's armpit. And she goes, Gordo, I can't say that. She's my best friend. I can't give her a bad review. And Gordo says she's an actress. She knows that sometimes you don't get good reviews. Is she, though? Is she an actress? And then Lizzie says, but she's counting on me to support her. And Gordo says she may be the worst actress in history, but you're reporting on it and you have to report the truth. Which I understand both sides here. And Lizzie says, well, I have to report the truth, but that doesn't mean I can't go easy on her. And she starts writing down, and we start to hear, was it like a voiceover? It's like, newcomer. Yeah. Newcomer Miranda Sanchez gives her best effort as Rhonda in the school musical, or the school production of Greaser. And then it's the next day, and she's reading the article that's been published. And she goes, unfortunately, her best effort comes up short. Lizzie says, oh, I said your clothes look nice.
And here, Miranda's like regular outfit is an orange top with a white quilted sweater over the top. And it's honestly so cute.
Is this Lizzie's orange cheetah print top?
I don't remember.
I loved that one. I don't remember what scene it's in, but Lizzie had on like an orange cheetah print top, and I loved that one.
Oh, I think that was at the very beginning when she was in the computer lab writing her first story.
No, okay, yeah. You're right. Okay. Loved it. So she says, Miranda says, how would you do this to me? You know how important this play is. And Lizzie's like, I know. And Miranda says, I can't believe it. I thought you were my best friend. Miranda storms away from her, and Lizzie says, she went and got Miranda some, what was it she picked up for her? Some flan? Flan?
And I said, what school cafeteria has flan?
Flan?
It's like a custard-based dessert. Hang on, I know for sure it's custard. Baked custard with caramel topping, known for its smooth and creamy texture.
These kids better not ever complain about this cafeteria food ever again.
Oh, yeah, and here's the other thing. So it's, man, I'm showing my dork here. Flan is usually baked in a water bath to ensure a gentle, even cooking and a smooth custard texture. And the water bath is called a bain-marie. But, like, that is not...
So they're not eating frozen food.
No, it's not like Otis Spunkmeyer cookies that came prepackaged that they just stuck in the oven that morning. Like... Exactly. That would be something you would have to, like, baby to make successfully.
Oh, my gosh. I never want to hear these kids complain ever again. So, like we said, they walked into the cafeteria. Miranda sits down. Lizzie went and picked her up some of the flan, the fancy flan. And she goes, Miranda, I know how much you liked it. And Miranda slides away from Lizzie. Sass all the way. And then animated Lizzie says, hey, don't slide away from me, Miss Thing. I'm trying to be the nice one here. And we get major attitude from both girls here.
Miss Thing? Oh!
Yes. Which kind of stems from some behind-the-scenes stuff going on, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I'll tell you at the end. So Lizzie says, come on, Miranda. I didn't mean for the review to hurt you. And animated Lizzie says, I shouldn't even have to apologize, Miss Queen of Stink Bad Acting. And Lizzie says, I'm just trying to do my job. I thought you would understand. And Miranda says, oh, I understand. I understand that you're just jealous that I'm the star of the school play and that you're just a little reporter. And if you think you're tearing me down makes me bigger, well, you're wrong. You're a lousy friend. And then animated Lizzie yells, well, you're a lousy friend too, and a stink bad actress. And then she says it verbally, real Lizzie does, well, you're a lousy friend and a stink bad actress. So we're like, oh no. And then Gordo walks up and he goes, so it didn't go well, did it? And then she runs into Touchman again.
I was going to say, on her way out of the cafeteria, she runs into Touchman again. This time he said, those were my fries. So no green vegetables this time.
Man. Or flan. She could eat the flan that Miranda didn't eat.
Well, Gordo was eating that.
So Gordo's like, so it didn't go well? And she's like, yeah, great observation, Gordo. And then Gordo runs after Miranda and says, just wait up for a second. And Miranda's like, don't even try to defend Lizzie. He says, I don't have to.
Skirt.
That was savage.
That was.
He goes, I don't have to. This is a tape of your performance, and this is the review that Lizzie wrote. Take a good look at both of them.
Yikes.
Oh
and she does, and it's bad.
Yes, Miranda watches the video that Gordo took of her performance, and she realizes just how bad it was, and how kind Lizzie was when she could have been really, really mean to Miranda about it. So she's starting to get a grip. Okay, now Matt and Lanny, the B plots, we're at the McGuire house, and Matt says into his walkie-talkie, Roger that, Lanny. I'm exiting the kitchen, heading upstairs. We'll establish communications from there. Matt, over and out. And this reminds me of when I had my walkie-talkies when I was little. They were purple. And then Joe says, honey, where did you get walkie-talkies? And Matt said, I earned them, like you said. He goes, well, I gotta go. Lanny got his stomach pumped, and he's going to tell me all about it. And he goes, and Sam says, how did you earn all that money? And Joe says, and what did Lanny
eat?
So we see Matt upstairs, and he goes, so even though they look like marshmallows, they don't really taste like marshmallows? Well, that's good to know. Matt, over and out. Talk to you later. And then Sam and Joe walk in the room, and they see that his room is completely empty. And they said, what happened to all of your things? And he said, I sold them. And Sam says, you used the money for your walkie-talkies? Matt says, well, yeah. He goes, well, anyways, I gotta go downstairs and do my spelling homework. Also, I don't have anything to wear to school tomorrow. See ya.
The way he says it, you know he knows exactly what he's done. And the other thing about this is that, like, you know that he and Lanny just sold things at whatever price they thought they needed to sell them at to reach approximately $90.
Yep.
And sold all of it. So, like, he was probably selling things for, like, 50 cents or $1 that would have been, like, $10, $20 items just because it's like, well, it doesn't matter. When we get to $90, we're good.
Yep, exactly. He's probably, like, probably had nice clothes that his parents probably spend, like, good money on that he's selling for, like, less of $1.
Yep.
And Joe says to Sam, how much is it going to cost to replace all of this? Fair.
And then says, let's not teach him anything else for a while.
Fair. Absolutely. Okay, then we get back downstairs, and Joe is in the kitchen packing or cooking something. Oh, no, she's packing Sam's lunch. And Lizzie walks in and says, hey, I'm going to buy lunch at school tomorrow so you don't have to pack me one. And Joe says, honey, this isn't for you. This is for your dad's softball game. And Lizzie says, you're going to dad's softball game? And Joe's like, yup. And Lizzie says, but he hardly ever gets to play, and the only time he gets on the base is when he gets hit by a pitch. And then
Poor Sam.
We see a clip of Sam getting hit in the head by the pitch. And then Joe says, well, is very disinterested, that his team finally made it to some important game, and it's the best they've ever done. So I figured, what the heck.
I have to point out here that what Joe says is his team finally made it to the semi-quarter consolation game. And I don't know if it, like, really is a consolation game or if Joe is just saying that because she doesn't know. But either way, that was funny.
It was funny, yes. And Lizzie says, but you're going and you don't even like softball. And Joe says, honey, it's not that I don't like it. I hate it. It's very, very dull to watch, and the bleachers are incredibly uncomfortable. To where we see a clip of these two very large, dirty-looking men sitting way too close to Joe. And they're, like, throwing things and yelling, and she's just like, ah, in the middle of.
And I'm pretty sure that these two guys are characters that we get as, like, B-plot characters in later episodes.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know their names, but
Irrelevant.
they'll come up later. And then Lizzie tries to counter with, but Dad didn't go to your blood drive. And Joe says, well, to be fair, he was working that day. And Lizzie says, I thought he just didn't want to go. And Joe says, well, if he did, I would still go to his game. It's not about who owes who what. If you love someone, you support them. And Animated Lizzie thinks Joe is playing some Jedi mind tricks on her again. And Animated Lizzie says, I hate this. She's showing me how to be a better friend of Miranda, and she doesn't even know that she's doing it. I think Mom might just be a witch. Another witch reference. We've had, like, how many Blair Witch Project references, and now this one? Okay, now we have Miranda's second performance, and Mr. Escobar says, he's reading Lizzie's at the next performance, correct? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And he's reading this in front of Lizzie. In spite of the best efforts of the rest of the cast, the play is dragged down by Miranda Sanchez's performance. And then Lizzie walks up and he says, we were on our way to the stars.
We were on our way to the stars.
Put that in my everyday vocabulary now.
Yeah.
That's going to be on my vocab rotation. We're on our way to the stars. Mr. Escobar just goes, places, everyone. And Lizzie says, Miranda, I know you think I'm a terrible friend, but before you drop a spotlight on me, I just wanted to show you this. I'm running it in the next issue, and it's a retraction of my review. And Miranda starts reading it and says, contrary to previous reports, Miranda Sanchez is very entertaining as Rhonda Dopopopolos.
I've literally just been waiting the entire time since you pressed record to hear you say Dopopopolos.
Dopopopolos?
Dopopopolos.
No wonder the regular theater kids didn't want to play this.
I can see that.
Remember in the election episode, the theater kids were like so cool. They wouldn't want to do this.
No. They wouldn't want to be caught dead within a 10-foot radius
of Rhonda Dopopopolos.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Lizzie says she was wrong to run a bad review and she's really sorry. And Miranda says, no, you're wrong now. I was terrible. And she says that she saw the play or the performance that Gordo recorded. And she goes, I even wrote a letter to the editor saying your review is too nice. How can you write a retraction to the truth? And Miranda says, it's because you're my friend and you love acting and I just couldn't ruin that for you. And Miranda says, well, thank you, but just because I'm a bad actress doesn't mean that you should be a bad journalist. Lizzie says, if I had known it was going to make you feel bad, I would have never written that review. And Miranda says, the whole time Orlando Brown has been yelling, oh, Stingo, you and your wisecracks, over and over and over again while they're having this heart-to-heart conversation. Miranda says, thanks, but if I had known that I was going to stink so bad, I never would have done the show. Sorry I got mad at you, but let's face it, acting is not my thing. And Orlando Brown loses it and says, oh, Stingo, you and your wisecracks. She does not hear. And Miranda says, what about the Glee Club? And then, again, Orlando Brown says, Stingo, you and your wisecracks. And she goes, Glee Club, if I'm an actress, I have to be a good singer. Completely missing her cue over and over and over again.
And here I have to say, plot hole, because we already know Miranda's a good singer because she sang for Aaron Carter. So why are we acting like this is a brand new development? I must be a good singer. Girl, we knew that.
Plot hole. Plot hole. So she goes, oh, thank you. And she goes, Reb! And then you hear her go, ouch! Because she ran into something again. And then Animated Lizzie goes down a slide and says, singing, just when you thought Miranda hit bottom, she finds a shovel. Rude. And then we see a 1 month later card, and Miranda starts singing that song from Mulan. What was it called? What's that song called?
Reflection.
Yes, Reflection from Mulan. And then she's a very, very good singer, which, again, we established in Aaron Carter episode.
And I have to point out that she is, for the second time, wearing the lime green top with flowers and rainbow sleeves that we saw her wearing in a previous episode.
Yes, I noticed that too. Lizzie is also wearing an outfit she already wore. She has on those floral pants and that pastel shirt.
I'm kind of here for it because it's not realistic that they would wear different things.
It's like they're outfit repeaters. Yes. It's because they're outfit repeaters. Okay, Gordo says, it looks like she's finally found something she doesn't stink at. And then Animated Lizzie says, good for Miranda. I bet if I keep looking, I can find a thing that I'm really good at too. And then we hear Miranda singing as the outro goes on. But Animated Lizzie, you were good at rhythmic gymnastics, and you quit. I don't know what to tell you there, boo-boo.
What's the tea on the episode?
So, I just came across this last night. And, cause, you know, I was on TikTok and I was like, why Lelaine wasn't in, the last, 5-6 episodes of season 2 and the Lizzie McGuire movie. Well, everyone's like, oh, she was filming You Wish, blah, 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 blah. But there is some proof that her and Hillary had a huge fallout. Yes, they used to be besties, and then they kind of, you know, had a huge fallout as teenage girls do. And some of tension started in this episode because apparently Hillary Duff's mom always wanted her to sing. So Hillary had not gotten a chance to sing yet, but Miranda's getting a chance to sing yet. So it was causing some beef behind scenes that Miranda got to sing before Hillary. So, and that's where some of the beef started.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm. So, yes. Didn't know that till last night. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on this episode?
Forgettable.
I said the same thing.
It's just not a memorable episode. I mean, honestly, the best part is Mr. Escobar, probably.
Star of the episode.
Yeah. I will say, dang it. I had, my favorite line, right there, and...
Mine was, whichever one I said earlier. I don't remember what it was now. Although Gordo's, come back to Miranda at the end when he was like, I don't have to. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, you're a lousy friend and a stink bag actress.
Yeah.
Duh. And obviously the best outfit of the episode for me has to be Miranda's costume as Rhonda Dopopopolos. Dopopopolos.
That should be the name of the episode, Dopopopolos. Yes, I think that was going to be my favorite episode, or Lizzie's cheetah print orange shirt she had on at some point.
Also good.
Yes, but I think fight they were having, why it was so yelly was because there was some actual feelings from the actresses getting mad at each other.
They were channeling their real life feelings.
Yes, because Hillary was feeling some type of way about Miranda getting to sing before Lizzie did. So,
I mean, I can see that. I can see that. And Hillary does go on to have a thriving and successful musical career. However, she gets everything else.
That's true.
She got the Aaron Carter kiss. What are you complaining about, girl?
Right.
Also,
right.
I don't think Miranda
they started dating after that, right?
Yeah, and I don't think Miranda has a boyfriend at all during any of this, right? And Lizzie, gets the Aaron Carter kiss and eventually has Ronnie. We can't. I'm not ready.
Ronnie.
But anyways. Also,
yeah.
This has nothing to do with the show, but it does have to do with Hillary Duff. Recently, within the last week was I think the 10th anniversary of her album Breathe In, Breathe Out, which was her first album since Metamorphosis. I mean, there was one album after Metamorphosis, but really basically her first album in
forever.
Yeah. And she wrote this really long post because apparently that's how she met her husband. I don't know if he was a producer on it or whatever, but
her current husband or her first husband?
Second husband. Current husband.
Okay.
Matthew Cuomo.
Yes.
Cuomo.
Something like that.
Whatever. But she says in the caption, like, even though this album was a flop, and I was like, girl, and like the whole comment section was like, Hillary, girl, that album went triple platinum on my iPod. And now it's in my like recent like Spotify search history because I was like, that album slapped.
I meant to bring it out for this, but I found when I was moving.
Breathe in, breathe out in my recent.
I love that. I love that for you. I'll try to dig it out, but I found it's in that closet back there. I found my Lizzie McGuire soundtrack CD for like the TV show, and it's a relic. And all of my original Hillary Duff like CDs, like Metamorphosis. I think
Metamorphosis still lives in my car.
She can't go anywhere.
She can't go anywhere. It doesn't like. I mean, my car does actually have a CD player. I know most new cars like don't.
My car doesn't.
Even when I drive something that does not have a CD player, I will never let go of my original copy of Metamorphosis.
I love that. Have you seen, this is a complete, like, different thing, but you know that EP Taylor Swift released, Beautiful Eyes, that people have been talking about on TikTok?
Unfortunately, no.
She released an EP between her debut album and Fearless.
Okay.
And people have been trying to find it on eBay. It was exclusive to Walmart. And I have it. I have an original copy, and people are paying like $500 to get a copy of that. And people are like selling fake ones. And I was just like, I literally have it at my parents' house.
Wow. If it was me, I would be one of those that would be like reselling it, but I know you wouldn't. You wouldn't dream of doing that.
No, I have it at my parents' house. I'm thinking of getting all of my Taylor CDs framed and put up in my glam room. Because I have a signed copy of Folklore. So.
Amazing.
Yes.
Incredible.
So. But yeah, did we see what episode comes after this?
I have zero idea what this episode is. Oh, never mind. I do know what this episode is.
Oh God, what is it?
The one where Matt ends up at Lizzie's school for the day. The title of the episode threw me off. Anyways, I'll say it. So
not the one where they switch bodies, right?
No. So next week we're covering season 1, episode 15. The title of the episode is Lizzie's Nightmares, but that's not really indicative of what's going to be going on. This is the episode where Matt gets on the wrong school bus and ends up at Lizzie's school for the day. So this will definitely be a fun one to recap if you want to join us. Watch that ahead of next week. Episodes drop every Monday, 9 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Spotify. If you liked this episode or like our show in general, we'd love if you would give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on and share this episode with a friend. We are on all socials as the Outfit Repeaters Pod, and until next week,
we're outie.
Bye.